Is feng shui a science? This is a very common question, especially among the West. Let me ask back in return, what is science? From what I understand of science or the scientific theory, it is 3 stages. First, you form a hypothesis. Then you test it with empirical data. Finally, if the empirical data matches the hypothesis, it becomes scientific theory until the next hypothesis is formed that disproves this theory. So even in science, the so-called science that most people understand, it is always evolving. If you look into quantum physics, which is a very groundbreaking area of science, things change every year, every few years. They come up with new theories, new ideas, because we are trying to understand all this. Does it mean that science is only because it's science means it exists? No. So if you think back about, okay, as easy as say 500 years ago, right? 1500s. Was there electricity? Yes, electricity has always existed, but no one knew what it was. If you had brought out a normal electric lamp out there, they would have labeled it as magic. If you look back at history, Copernicus, who has postulated that the earth rotated around the sun, was charged by the church and was nearly hung for heresy, because they said, no, that cannot be. But later on, he was proved right. So what is science? Science is constantly evolving. So where does that come in regards to feng shui? Feng shui also has its own basis of science in the sense that it is very logical, it has been tested, you can get proven results based on, say, certain proven applications. If I do A, I get Z. If I do B, I get Y. So there is a cause and effect. If this is not science, I don't know what is. And if we look back at how Western philosophy and Eastern philosophy developed, there's also a difference. The Eastern philosophy is always more concerned about the results, whereas Western philosophy is always about the why. Just because we cannot explain why feng shui works doesn't mean that it doesn't work. The why is only for the Western sciences, the Western philosophy. In the East, it's always been about what I call the black box effect. You feed something into the black box, you get this result. How it works, most people don't bother. Right? Now, there are people who study what's inside this black box, and those who understand what goes on in there, they take that science or that art to a new level of understanding. And it is like feng shui. A lot of people practice it without knowing what is inside that black box, and it still works. So is that science?